Okay, I'm gonna get it started. I know the ad break's still going, but that's fine. So, migrations. Left this yesterday with this not working. As much as I would love to say the service wasn't required, I think the service is required. Um, what changes did I make yesterday to allow this? Mojo, good morning. So, yeah, we ended up adding design in here. Yep. Whereas, so I don't want design there. And as fun as it would be to be able to do this, actually, this would not work because we don't need the migration service. We just need to use the migration. We don't need that. This will actually work now. What are you doing? What are you doing? So the migration service, these are kind of independent now. These achieve what what I want anyway. Oh, okay. That's a positive. So basically in the app host, if we go in here, well, actually, let's do this. Let's do the add migration. Yeah, we're now in the ecosystem of having to do the migrations. Include price paid. Price paid. And that would be copy price paid. So if we do that, that should create the migration fine now. Because it registers itself, that's fine, yeah. So basically, I think because of this, and because we have this, it will start the service up itself and run its own migration. We'll flex that later with another module, but that way all I have to do, I mean, it's not stunning, but I have to do that there, and then the migration will run, and I can just run the migration service in app host. So if we do that, and then we do var migrations equals builder.add project reference migrations. 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 Wait for Postgre. Wait for application database. And then we on this one, we don't need to wait for them anymore because then we can just do wait for completion of migrations. Because then I'm learning a lot about how quickly all this can go wrong. Well, without going too deep into that, I would imagine the fact if things don't work for me, I'm willing to go back and cut things out and redo things and rewrite things. Some developers aren't willing to do that and will just keep piling on and adding code to solve the problem. So, and I would imagine that the app host is kind of that world where if you start, yeah. So if you don't want your DB to be published via the manifest, what would you use? Not quite sure I follow. Oh, you mean if I don't want this to actually go out as a part of the KAS stuff. I'd write the scripts to create the database. I'm not sure I follow exactly. Oh, you mean script it all out rather than trusting? Yeah. Maybe. Hello, how you doing? Yeah, having not looked at how to do the manifest stuff from this properly yet, I haven't. Yeah. Wouldn't you like to know? Wow, comes in shouting to start the day. It's only 7 a.m. It's lunchtime there. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm not quite sure I follow 100% that mojo, but yeah, it's midday, mate. Great British time. If you exclude from manifest with reference, DB breaks the deployment. Ah, okay, gotcha. So if I do that, and then I have a reference to these. Gotcha. Right, so you've really got to think through it. Okay, gotcha. I didn't know about exclude from manifest, so yeah. It is one of the things. So I actually looked at developers section the other day and I'm like, hold on. Even if I get the other pieces to deploy, how do I do that? Because I don't want to use this. I want to provide different credentials uh, for that. That's why I haven't done developers.stream yet. Because I want to host the Postgre on a free tier external and then build and bring up the two app services in Azure. So I was looking at how do I set connection strings and configuration in there because it's kind of weird. Defeats the whole purpose of Aspire, in my opinion. Granted, I feel like the Aspire team wouldn't develop that. But I think so. Initially, when we talked about this, my fear was that you are kind of in the ecosystem of doing it their way for everything. And I feel that's a path that's very realistic as we go forward with it as a deployment tool, in that you have to build things their way. Like not being able to deploy with separate database stuff, I don't know. I mean, yeah. Uh, so it's very warm and dry here today. It's due to be 93 degrees and cloudy today here. Okay, so let's try and add. Let's try and see if this works now. So when I run the app host, what I'm hoping for is the migrations run, finish, and we end up with a database that's ready, and then the API can come up. I suppose using Aspire, the only way you can guarantee those things is if things are available. So, but it would be good to. I think that the app host program CS is probably the wrong way to do things. In so much as you, in so much as I think that you really kind of do want configurable scripts. Like I think this should be a service that starts up and then you kind of have production and development as even if they're C# files, etc. Production and development that are able to handle those differences. so that when you right click on uh, or you run the tool and say deploy the production manifest, etc., it does so correctly. And this is because I'm missing it with reference, isn't it? Is it? With reference Postgres. Is it with reference Postgres or is it with reference application DB? Oh, let's go with that. Let's see what happens. But yeah, I do feel that strain of the investment in the Aspire tooling is going to be a problem if you want to move away from the Aspire tooling. And as great as it is so far, and I think that the developers is it the, yeah, yeah. I thought to do it. I was like, you know what? Let's just learn. Um, application database because it's the connection string that it uses, right? Uh, yeah, I think that as great as the tooling is, you do want that option to move away from it, and being so stuck in the ecosystem is a challenge. I'm just watching the dashboard. No error. One error, not two though. So it's errored. So here's what it looks like. Right. So it's errored. Or it corrected itself. But it's not ending. So let's have a look, see if the database is there. Uh, this one, this one. Copies and games are there. Copies has price paid, so it's got all the latest values. So if I stop this, API should start up and run fine. Okay. Hey Valorant, what are you doing there for developer? I am building an application. I like the UI. Nice and clean. I am currently taking a little bit of a break from my main application. So normally on stream I develop a larger application, a project management tool called Liquid Sky. But I'm taking a few days as a mental break from that to kind of experiment with a modular monolith to try and build a single API out with multiple modules and have them compose and be independent. So I'm kind of experimenting with that design and how I would build the components for this. So right now I'm just kind of finishing up the migrations aspect of it, where we are just trying to get that running. This is Rider and C# is the language. What about you? What do you use? So yeah, normally on stream, I would be working on Liquid Sky, which is this, which is a I said, a project management tool that I'm building that is a little bit bigger. This is a larger system. I've been building for quite a while, but just taking a few days break of that, and we'll be getting back to that soon. However, this is a worthwhile thought exercise as well. So the migrations ran. But they errored. And then so it wasn't ready. That was the problem. What is better, C++ or C sharp? Whatever works for you. If you're if you're building an Unreal Engine and C++ is your language, if you want to use Unity, or you want to use, or you're building applications. I mean, if you're building modern day web apps and stuff, I would not imagine C++ is storage. I've got a massive hole in the side of my t-shirt. That's sad. But I wouldn't say anything's better. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the use this language because it's better. And you need to put a kappa after that one, Roger. I'm a student just starting my journey, done with the first year of my computer science degree. Nice. That's it's good to hear. What got you into that? What is guiding you there? So for reference, I am a developer. I've been a professional developer for 26 years this year. I have worked primarily in .NET and C Sharp, but I have done BASIC. I've done some database stuff, PHP. And tinkered with all sorts of stuff on the side. I love doing what I do. I love playing, and I love shit. And the reason I stream is so I can share. Just because I'm an older developer doesn't mean I can't learn new things and grow, and it doesn't mean I know everything, right? I just got done with DSA and C language, and nice. Yeah. Yeah, I'm always interested to know what got you into wanting to do software development. Is it just because it's school, or is it because you actually do enjoy doing it and you want to do something with it? Yeah, I'm interested for C++, but somebody says C sharp is better. What do you want to build? I mean, again, if you're building games, and it can't hurt to understand one language. If you want to go with C++ and build stuff in C++, the knowledge you gain in that isn't going to be, and you can't ever pick up C sharp. You can go and pick up C sharp and it'll be fine. You probably have a better understanding of some of the harder concepts in C sharp because you've got that background. There's things in C sharp that I really do wish I had a reason to go and dig into. But nothing says you have to stick with one language, especially if you're early in your path. So I, about 10 years ago, decided that I was doing some PHP stuff on the side. I was building frameworks in PHP. I was building, more than 10 years ago now, but I was building .NET stuff. I was split between the two, and I decided that I would stop doing that and focus all my energy on my .NET career, to try and be a better .NET developer, because it's not just the language. The language is the easier part of anything we do, right? A lot of people can pick up a language very quickly, and progress. Software development is not just code; it's design, it's thought, it's intent. And some languages and frameworks will support things in different ways. So you'll have to use different techniques to build your software So if you're building something in C++, the way you design and build that software is going to be very like um, um, how people write C++. If you go to a C sharp framework, C sharp project, that will be designed slightly differently because the development standards and practices that people have followed there are different. Those are the things that you have to learn, and write good software. As a senior dev and being in this industry, can you tell me how should I start with projects and real life application of Blanks? Build stuff, build projects. So this application now, I have a reason. I have an idea. I have a context of um, um, what I'm building. So I know what I'm building from a um, from a context perspective. So I know more about games, right? I'm happy working within the games, and when I say games here, I mean like games library. I've got a collection of games. I want to track the games. That's why this, right? For Liquid Sky, this is my main project. I care very much about the thing I'm trying to build, and it helps move me forward. So building projects, you're not going to build real things. Don't be afraid to write a project that you scrap. Don't be afraid to put code together to achieve something. Like I need a to-do list, or I need a program to track how many meals I've eaten a month, or where my money's coming from, or um, I love collecting things, and those I want to track those things. Find an application that you actually have some context of um, the subject, and write software, and try to just grow those skills by writing software. You're gonna end up with, and just for reference, um, uh, you're gonna end up with uh, dev. Like you see, these are all different projects, right? So the different projects, prototypes folder. These are, you know, you're going to end up with a lot of programs and projects that just sit there and never used again. And this is, I didn't even bring over the stuff from my older computers, right? Years and years of little projects that I've started to do things. Oh, I need to download a bunch of files from this site and condense them, or I need to do this. Um, uh, uh, I needed some ROMs for the games that I own. So there's a site I can go to. I wanted to get the list of the ROMs, find the names and list them so I could say, yeah, I want to download that one, that one, that one. Um, I I wrote a program for it. I could have sat there and gone through it and clicked on it. So just find things that give you the ability to utilize what you're learning. Realize that you're not gonna get everything right. You're gonna fail. In your mind, you're going to fail. Things are going to be difficult. Don't try and follow really complicated tutorials on really advanced things that you're not ready for yet. Write the code you can write now. Build the best software you can write. And then what's going to happen is every couple of months, you're going to look back at the code you wrote 6 months ago, whatever. You're going to go, ew, I wrote that. Um, and that will continue to happen all the time. That will happen. So, just keep learning and growing and moving. Um, yeah. So that's how I'll do it. Build useful skills. So, okay, so now I've got one problem, apart from not being able to click on things. So this starts. You've got a bit of multiple personality thing going on, yeah. Me and my friends are starting a project to make a web browser, but I can't seem to find any tutorial or anything like proper documentation. Can you get me how to start at least, or tell any framework? Building a web browser? Like that's an ambitious start. Um, 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 tutorials wise, I would imagine you're not going to find many tutorials on writing a browser because there's all sorts of things you've got to understand. It's not just an application, right? It's not just a web page or a tool that embeds a web page. It's all the communications protocols underneath. It's all the transfer of the data. It's all the rendering and all that sort of stuff. So um, I would research the component pieces of what a browser contains. Like, how does it do rendering? Like, how does it take the HTML and draw it on the screen? Um, how do you transfer the data? How do you decompress data? Because you're going to have network streams that are, encrypted or whatever. How do you do those things? Um, I mean, considering how far you are through your journey, unless you've been developing for years beforehand, that might be quite the challenge. I would probably start smaller, but you know what? Have fun. And yeah, just keep learning. So yeah, rather than worry about a tutorial on building a web browser, I would worry about researching all the components that make up a modern browser and what you need to do, all the protocols, all the structures, all the yeah. Well, so senior dev time is not a measure of ability. Um, we often label senior dev, like I am labeled as a senior dev because I've been doing this for 25 years or more, right? I've been doing this for more than 5 years, etc. Which means I am a senior dev. Doesn't mean I'm a better programmer than you. Doesn't mean I'm smarter or any more talented. It just means I've done a lot more. I've failed a lot more, right? Um, Software development is more than just, again, putting code into a screen, right? Typing code and making computer do things is the easiest part of what we do. Um, so yeah, that is quite the name. And I need to remember to put streamer mode on because OBS doesn't automatically trigger streamer mode anymore. Yeah, don't. I mean, just because people say they've been doing software development for a long time, it doesn't mean they're capable of building a browser. So, uh, yeah. Sorry, I have a new toy coming today. I have myself a new racing wheel coming. I'm going to play more Gran Turismo this weekend. Um, okay, so that would be that, right? Ugh. Actually, doesn't work better that way, doesn't it? Even to, oh my, I know you're finishing school. Um, how do we do this? So this migration worker service awaits the delegate. Um, uh, so what do I need to look up here? I need to understand why this does not shut itself down after it's done its job. because it clearly did its job. That's fine. Uh, Background service doesn't shut down after running. C sharp. So silent failures are one thing. So this pattern, by the way, of using worker services to start up and just do things and then finish is not something that I felt was reasonable. It felt this doesn't feel good. But if you actually look at Aspire, the actual Aspire code does this sort of stuff. They're not afraid to do this sort of thing. So I didn't like the idea of it, but utilizing background worker services is apparently quite common. And it does make sense. It's like, hey, start this thread and run it. Yeah. You can ask as many questions as you want, Valorant. I'm perfectly fine with conversation like this. Last question: should I go ahead and learn Linux for software development? A lot of my seniors in university jobs at companies told me to. Links or do you mean Linux or do you mean links there? Links. What is that? I have not heard of. I have not heard of that before. Where would I have seen that? So, what field? I mean, I get looking for companies that are going to hire you and making your skill set useful because you want to be attractive to employers as you go into the workforce. Um, yeah, Linux. Okay, okay. You do mean Linux. I mean, understanding. Okay, so one of the things I want to do on the stream is I do want to install. I want to have a Mac and I want to have a Linux install, and I want to show that development of .NET stuff on Linux and Mac is just as feasible as on Windows, right? And stream that so it's clear. It's not going to be so, especially in the modern world for me. .NET is available cross-platform. I can develop in .NET on Linux. I can develop in .NET on Windows. So the operating system doesn't have much. You don't stream though. I'm talking about streaming it. That's all. um, uh, the operating system shouldn't have much impact these days on what you can do. So I would definitely, um, I would check it out. I would make sure you understand what the differences are, what the challenges are, how you would configure your development environment in the Linux operating system. The platform has very little to do with what you can achieve with software development. Um, you know, people like to flex, especially if they put a lot of hard work into getting those environments set up and learning all the stuff they've learned. They're like, oh, you should use this, you should use that. Mojo and I have often had a conversation of this because, I got into software development when the internet it was a thing, but not a very big thing, and it wasn't a big thing. Uh, yeah. Um, I'm Ubuntu. I like it nice and easy. Like press a button, let's go. Um, So, and I've learned over the years to kind of just cut my own path and not necessarily listen to, because there's a million people out there that'll tell you you should do this, and another million people that'll tell you you should do this, and who do you listen to? So, um, yeah, um, so yeah, I would, I mean, I'd go off and spend some time learning, but uh, um, one. Sorry, I wasn't ignoring yours. I was just answering the other question. Um, just get into coding. Now what? What do you want to do? Why did you get into coding? What attracted you to the idea of coding? What do you want to do? Um, and Manoj, hello. How you doing? And yeah, Rider is free. If you're interested in .NET, Rider is free for non-commercial use. And VS Code and even Visual Studio Community is free if you're on Windows. Um, yep. Watch. There we go. I can escape. I'm good. You want to troll? It's fine. Um, but I mean, Valorant. I- I'm not going to say don't buy a new laptop for Linux, or VMs would be a better way to do it, because um, I have uh, I have these mini PCs, these AMD mini PCs, and they are really effective. I install Linux on them and whatnot. Yeah. But yeah, Memon, I would say, what got you into wanting to be wanting to do development in the first place? What is driving you? DSA and system design, they're both a requirement in the job market. Which one should I focus on more? You writing software. So data structures and algorithms. I didn't. So full disclosure, I did not complete any formal education in software development, right? I have never gone to a data structures and algorithms class. I have never done a system design class, right? I have done this through pure learning, pure growth, paying attention to what I'm seeing what I like, building the software I want to build, and growing that way. So any advice I give is going to be based upon what my experience is. In the job market, I don't often, as a developer, I don't often find that I'm asked to come up with any complicated algorithms. I don't feel that most developers, especially entry level developers, are not being asked to deal with system design. Um, they've been asked to, here's some code, go fix this. And you kind of learn and grow into that. Um, so write software, use some of the things you're learning in the DSA and system design class, right? But don't overly complicate it, because you're just going to get bored. Um, uh, and you're going to give up on stuff, or it's going to get hard, and you're going to just kind of jam code in and not understand what you did just to achieve a result. And I'm against that way of learning. Stony, hello. I love how long it takes to set up NeoVim before you can get started. Maybe it's easier later. Well, that's why I can open it. uh, I can open it and I can escape from it, but I was like, how do I make this useful? I give up. So yeah, so you know, systems design, architecture, development, all these things are skills you will learn as you grow as a developer. This is not your end. This is not the beginning. This is a path you follow. And even that, I wouldn't say that's good or right necessarily. There are things that are probably good about it. There's things that other developers would do, but they're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. So yeah. Okay, so what I'm trying to figure out this second is why this. Oh, let's try it again. Let's see what happens. Although I don't have a, it's going to run the migration again because every time the database is getting wiped out. So it runs the migration. It errors. And then it continues on. And that's it, but it never finishes. So that's weird. It's like hold on. That's what I was going to do. I was going to change the order around before. If you are not aware, if you are whether you're on YouTube or Discord or on Twitch, there is a Discord link in the cards below. You're more than welcome to join in there. If you have questions, thoughts, opinions, you're more than welcome to share them. If you have projects that you're working on, you want to show other people, be respectful. Don't assume that people will automatically jump to help or to, give advice. But I'm always happy to at least check out any questions anyone has, and the Discord is a great place to have it. We also do hang out in there from time to time, in voice chat. Your order is out for delivery. I ordered a Fanatec Gran Turismo DD base and wheel and pedals, and a Porsche Vision GT wheel for the Fanatec. So I'm very excited to get into my first direct drive sim racing rig. That'll be fun. That'll be a fun upgrade from the Logitech. But Mojo, you have to do some Gran Turismo with me. I'll get on iRacing and do some bumper cars. So, I wonder if the order matters here. I don't think it should. Wait for Postgre, wait for application database. So that's what the with reference is what gives it the connection string. I understand that part. It makes this available as an environment variable for that. At the very basics. I'm sure it does way more than that, but yeah. Alphabetical order. But this doesn't run to completion, but there's nothing stopping it from running to completion. So if we go to the infrastructure here, the service collection extensions here, we add a new hosted service. Other options on this one? No. Mr. Jones, good afternoon. How are you doing? So I need to get over this hump, right? To be actually able to move this forward, I need this. Do I? Because of the next piece that I want to get to. Let's assume that runs for now. I can always stop the migration service and we'll come back around on that one. It's not something that's stopping me from doing anything. Okay, so let's yeah. Build out migration services. Include Hey, I remembered that I've not got a target for this. I have learned this last couple of days just how different the title of your stream can change the visibility of your stream to YouTubers. It is crazy how different this week of streams have been to any other week. Like this stream right now has had more views than any video any stream I've done in the last 3 months, just by the title. Because the channel's the same, the content's the same. It's just purely the title that gets it in people's vision. That's how crazy YouTube is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe this endpoint. Right. So we have our application DB context. Yes. I can't help that, unfortunately. I'm sat right in the middle of the blind. Yeah. What about view? We have views, right? We have the view with the view that uses views. Still don't have a better name for that either, do we? I like summer. It's awesome. This should be called query. Yeah. Client support. It's not a query service. It's a data provider with a query layer on top of it. I don't know. We'll have to go through that. I'm looking at my phone like maybe UPS will deliver things 6 hours earlier and I can play before work and just yeah. Okay, so we have the DB context. I am going to use Adalis repositories. The reason I'm going to do that is because it gives me a clear separation between my app context. The other services should be called commands. Yeah, it's the you know the whole clean code, clean architecture thing, the naming things. I know that sometimes I hit on the right thing, and then other times I'm like too technical. Right. Entities, associated project, and the use case, right? Like Uncle Bobby's like, these aren't handlers, these aren't commands, right? These are, requirements, commands. They're not actually commands, they're actually handlers. That's the fun thing. So, they should live there. So, but you know what? With modern tooling the way it is, that's the sort of thing I can go through and make those changes later and be confident, especially if I got the unit test, be confident that I have not introduced any quirks to the behavior of the application and get that done. So, yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I want this post to create a game. I have my game model, my game entity in my domain. And my application needs to be the one doing that. I don't want to do that from the endpoint. The endpoint is basically a pass-through, right? And yes, I'm using minimal APIs. This register endpoints is just for me pulling all these together. So that map post method, actually, this is not correct. That doesn't make any sense because I'm not actually mapping. I'm I'm mapping the post internally. So that this is not how I intended to do this. This is Stony mentions it, and now I'm really very conscious. I was almost about to type Stony there. Very conscious of the fact that the sun's in my face now. Games. Your fault. Uh, map, map, games, endpoints. Again, the tooling is allowing me to just do that refactoring, right? So all I'm doing here. That's awesome. Ooh, okay. There you go. That's better. Still your viewers, man. Just close enough. Okay. So all I'm doing here is this, and this method is going to call the other endpoints, right? So, and this just calls register game endpoint. So I don't have to, as I add another endpoint here, I just add it in here and the application will automatically do it. Believe it or not, my name actually isn't Scottish. Or my heritage isn't Scottish. My heritage is Irish. Well, they have to go a long way back to get to Ireland. My ancestry DNA says Northern England, solid Northern England. Uh, there's no worldwide diversity in me. So yeah. What, my accent doesn't say American? Okay. Enough procrastination. Get on with the code. Northern Light. Ouch. I think that's more offensive. So, into this, I'm going to include uh, uh, my sister a year or two while they were in Ireland, but I think they were expelled from France. That's quite the doing, I think. So I'm going to include Ardalis.specification and entity framework core. So the specifications includes repositories from Ardalis. Based on yesterday's world, you're too American for us now. Oh no. What's that? Wow. Mr. Jones isn't Northern. He's from Norfolk. Um, is plaid an American thing? Yes, I think so. Well, now I gotta know. Oh, slumberjacks. I mean, a rectangular woolen scarf of a tartan pattern over the left shoulder of a Scottish Highlander. So I don't think plaid is. Yeah, we call it tartan, right? Yeah. Fun fact: Norwich is more northern than Birmingham by about 5 degrees. Wow. Gotcha. No wonder people look at me funny when I say tartan. When they think I mean plaid. Anything northern. I don't think the north would agree with that. Uh, there you go. Anyone in here isn't actually following, maybe I highly recommend it. I will shout one line later. Make sure to send people to one lion later in the stream. If you've not checked out Maybe Stream, if you are new here, you need to go check out Maybe Stream. It's an awesome place to be. I think I've told the Birmingham story enough times. My wife had an awesome in Birmingham, UK. Had an awesome first experience of people from Birmingham. Okay, so we're gonna add a repository. We're gonna create a shared dependency because repositories are all over the place here anyway. We're gonna add repository here. And we're going to create a new folder. Now, when I say repositories here, I'm using analysis specification. So the repository itself has no real behavior. The repository is an access pattern for DB context that keeps the DB context out of my actual code. It's very useful from a database switch out perspective, actually, because the I've used in Liquid Sky, I've used SQL Server and then switched out for a different database, and the repositories mean the code stays almost the same. That is an awesome Discord name, by the way. The repositories stay the same. So in the changes stuff, this is all MongoDB, but it still uses repositories. So the code, the queries, the specifications all remain the same. So if I switched out the database technology, I mean, again, you're not likely to switch out database technology very often, but it can happen. Harish, hello, how are you doing? My apologies. I was getting lost in the conversation of Englishness. Before sat navs, I got lost around Birmingham, asked for directions, they may as well spotlight. Heavy Birmingham accent is a tough one. And Apex, hello, good morning. The stream goes well for this week. We are on Project Switch Up, which is my brain is frazzled from Liquid Sky and developers.stream deployment stuff. I have broken the Liquid Sky deployment, and rather than get depressed and irritated with myself, I figured I would just do something different. So I'm building a modular monolith. So we have one API. We're going to build modules that this API starts up and hosts. So they are independent, but they are organized. And we've been doing the migration stuff today. Oh, the last couple of days, actually, sadly. Experimenting with different ways of making these kind of independent. And yeah, I'm about to try and actually do some actual work in here. So in here, okay. So shared context, or whatever we refer to it as, is the concept of things that are every piece of the application gets. It has nothing specific for one component over another. Nothing says that that can't be multiple libraries. Now, in here, I never needed this, did I? No. Um, yeah, we don't actually need the interface for that because the job does the job. It's just a kind of standard. That's a weird interface. Anyway, but nothing says that this has to be one library or one project. It can be multiple. It's a concept, right? It's things that are shared across the applications. So what I was thinking of there is, well, do I put that in here and pull in DB context stuff? Maybe I've already pulled in services because I've got migration workers, but then do I want to go into the world of having, oh well, this is a worker service thing, so that goes in this one. This is a database thing that goes in this one. Maybe, but I'm going to create source. Yeah, share dot. No, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. So I was debating creating a repository, shared repository stuff, but there's one file in there, and right now it doesn't matter if I put all these in one different if I put these in one project. But my point was these could be multiple projects. If you have shared behavior that is existing across your entire application, nothing says it all has to live in a single project. It's the concept of a shared core that matters more. And in Liquid Sky, that looks like foundation, right? So in Liquid Sky, the messaging and shared kernel here. So the shared kernel, that's the other term for this, right? This shared kernel, it doesn't need to be one library. It could be multiple libraries, and it probably should because there's database stuff in here, there's command stuff in here, there's other things in here. These things could be shared out as different libraries. It's more the kernel itself is the concept rather than the actual projects. And I think that's got me multiple times. Um, um, well, hello, how you doing? Um, so nothing says that it can't be multiple projects. It's just this natural assumption that if we put a label on it, it can only be one project. And that's kind of again why I started this thing was because I saw the advice that put everything in one project and make these folders or whatever, or maybe I misunderstood the advice that was given. Never did get clarity, but I'm just exploring what it would look like to create a modular monolith from my perspective, how I've understood what a modular monolith is. So yeah, but yeah, it waffle. So to do that, I need to do Entity Framework Core. Microsoft Entity Framework Core. I do like the frequency with which Microsoft are updating these libraries to get to 0.06. 0.6, sorry. I don't think EF6 got to 0.6 for many years. I think 0.5 and 0.6 were maintenance releases anyway. Okay, so I think oh, there's another thing. There's a thing I'm missing. Yeah, there's a thing I'm missing. I'm trying to do it from memory. I can go over to Liquid Sky. In fact, let's go to Liquid Sky. So that is implemented here. There. Repository base. Included entity framework core. No, stop it. Don't. Oh, go on then. I thought I included that library in the first place, but anyway. Oh, no, I included it in the other one, didn't I? Yes. There's your problem. T context. Context. My iRepository is an iRepository base. Okay. That's a complicated design. T context. So hold on, let me just validate that. Let's see how that works. Because I've changed it slightly, but not significantly on the generic constraint there. Let's find out. Okay, so now with that said, I now need to create a repository that is specific to this context, right? So this would be a games repository. And this games repository will be, let's see if I remember how to do this now. I believe I do application DB context, and it becomes a repository that takes context. Right. And yes, that is it. So again, the way this works is it doesn't, we don't end up writing a bunch of methods on this repository. We don't end up with a repository that has every single action that could be performed. You mentioned breaking the deployments. How did it break? Okay. So in my Pulumi deployment, I had put everything. So I'd put all the database and Kafka and all those things and the application in one. Nice channel trailer. Huh? I don't have a channel trailer. Do I? Anyway. So I'd put all the deployment pieces in one chunk. So lesson learned there. What happened is when I went to bring it all down to get all the updates through, my database wouldn't come back up, which is the problem I hit previously. The database was like, nope, can't find the database, or it was read only, or it couldn't configure it. So the container for the database blew up on me. So I started trying to figure out that. So I started trying to isolate it. I shut everything else down. I brought only the database back up. It brought it back up, and the database was accessible. Awesome. Let's bring everything else back up. Kafka failed. Great. Let's bring it all back down. Let's bring up the database. Can I read the database? Yes, I can read the database. Let's bring up Kafka. Is Kafka working? Yes, Kafka's working. Bring up the other piece of the application. Kafka failed. Database wasn't accessible. I thought I got rid of that. I thought I deleted that one. So I learned my lesson about, because had I isolated the deployment of the infrastructure components from the deployment of the code, the actual application, everything would have been fine. When I tried to bring it back up in a new style, like isolate it out so I could bring up the infrastructure components, I learned that the Cloudflare gateway does not get configured that way anymore, and that there is a Cloudflare library for Pulumi with some of the worst documentation I've ever found, including coming soon as comments. So I can't get the Pulumi deployment of the Cloudflare gateway back up, so I can't even get that piece working now. The API is broken. So now my pieces, which did deploy fine, all the application stack deployed fine, but the infrastructure, the complicated infrastructure pieces, are what brought it to its knees. So I've decided that I'm not going to use Pulumi, but I haven't figured out what I'm going to use in place of it yet, or how I'm going to do the deployment. I honestly looked at doing it into the cloud, but the cost of running a Kubernetes cluster in the cloud is way beyond where we are with Liquid Sky. I have to host it here. As much as I would love to say, yeah, I'll just put it up in the cloud, it'll be fine. Because I can't do that. And also the database hosting would just destroy me. So yeah, that is where that is right this second. I'm in a similar world with developers.stream in so much as I want to deploy it, but deploying it isn't as easy as I want it to be. And I tried to deploy it today, and apparently I'm over my quota on a pay-as-you-go account for Azure. It will not let me create things. So yeah. They were, yes. And good morning, Mr. Anhorn. They were. Lesson learned. Infra and app deployment should not be all the same. But Pulumi is going in the garbage at this point, unless there is some significant reason for me keeping it. How can you be over? I tried to create a basic, not a free Azure app service. It's like, no, over your quota. Yeah. So yeah, Pulumi is not my favorite tool right this second. The support, Cloudflare does not show a lot of support for Pulumi either. I'm trying to figure out, is there options that I can make it a more consistent deployment? Because I'm not, to be clear, this is a hurdle that I am fully happy to embrace. It is something that's necessary, and doing it correctly and learning the lessons I need to learn now will make Liquid Sky deployment stronger in the future. 100%. It is an exercise worth going through. That being said, it's not my primary focus either, so I got to balance my energy. And I'll create 2 separate projects, and I inject the stat reference from the infra into. Yes, so that is what I was looking into. However, I learned that the Cloudflare tunnel configuration is now just not working, and the Pulumi docs for the Cloudflare stuff. Well, AI is too far behind it. They've deprecated most of what they had in it anyway and changed it all out now for their zero, whatever. But that documentation says coming soon, which is not helpful when you're trying to learn and you don't understand the concepts that you're kind of working with. I'm just trying to muddle through. So I don't know what my options are, but I don't think Pulumi will be one of them. So yeah, that's where I am. But that's why Project Switch Up. That's why the name as well. It's just switch up to make sure that I'm still having fun with development. I'm not stressing this. This is not, as much as I want Liquid Sky to be a thing. By the way, this is the current version of Liquid Sky. If anyone hasn't seen this yet, because this is what I was trying to deploy. Right, I actually have dashboards. The initiatives look cleaner. The planning items look cleaner. All consistent. All nice and lined up. But I got to remember, this isn't a job. As much as I would love it to be a thing, this is awesome. I'd love to develop this full time, right? But I have a job that has its own stresses and its own. I need to give my full attention to that job as well. I cannot be stressing over this stuff. So rather than burn out trying to get over that hump, because that's what happened last time I got into the deployment world, by the way. It took me 3 months to kind of get my head around what I needed to get it done. And I don't feel I came out much better on the other side. Some experience, yes, but not a lot of knowledge. And I don't want to get burned out. So Project Switch Up is both a chance to explore a different way of designing the application, not the application, and also a palette cleanser to make sure that I'm not like getting stressed over stuff that does not need to be stressed over. I think once Terraform came out with the same concept of building scripts and SDKs as Pulumi, companies started putting Pulumi on back burner for maintenance. Terraform, I looked at Terraform as well. I was like, not sure. Then I'm looking at things like Spacelift and Argo, but they basically sit on top of Pulumi or whatever you need, right? So I'm trying to learn enough to move forward. I have learned my lesson on documentation as well. Whatever I do, I need to document as I go what I did, for my own sake this time. So yeah, it's understanding what I'm setting up. It's understanding what am I building, what am I setting up. That's the challenge. So yeah. Okay, so we have a games repository. So now if we go over to our configuration over here, our web application extensions, when we do the add games module, right, add games infrastructure, adds it here, we can also now do services.add. This might be scoped. I repository. Actually, I think games repository. I think these actually are generic, aren't they? I'm going to define them. So the infrastructure planning repository. Yeah, TNT. That's what that is, yes. That's the problem. That's my problem. That's what I did wrong. That's fair. I wanted to use it at work, but also didn't want to be full-time SRE. Yeah, these things are not like developers being asked to do full stack and deploy applications. I really think that limits our. It doesn't limit our imagination as much, but it limits our ability to deliver that because you are stretched very thin on in terms of how much you can get done in a certain amount of time, right? And where do you put your energy? Where do you put your learning? I really think integrated DevOps with a specialization on doing that deployment piece is the only way to build a team. I think, yeah. So I went and built a custom platform on Polymer, but I've not had a working Polymer or fixed builds for like 8 months. Nice, nice. But it's, yeah, I just think it's, yes. Anyway, so this here, I now know why I wrote it the way I did it. So this T is not context. That's T entity. And that's DB context. And that's T entity. And that's context. And that's T entity. And that's where T entity is a class. Because that's actually what it's doing. It's like cheesecake. So many flavors, but still cheesecake in the end. Quite the analogy. So when we do this now, what we're saying is games repository generic. Oh, you can't do it that way, can you? You do type of that, because apparently generics can't take anonymous generics. Type of games repository. Oh yeah, that needs T entity now, because that's T entity. That's T entity, where T entity is class. There we go. So we're just registering that when I ask for a repository in the context of this application here, I'm going to get games repository. Now this is where this is going to get interesting. And interesting is it's going to work fine until I add a second module. That's where this gets a little bit more challenging, and that's where we learn how do we isolate these actual modules effectively, because that's going to be, because we're going to have to figure out the context of what we're in, because the iRepository is already going to be registered in the overall scope. So what does that look like from a design perspective? This is one of those things where I'm going to write a lot of code before I see an actual crack appear. And then what do I do? Because it's foundationally problematic. And I know it's coming. I'm still going to write towards it deliberately to do that. The one and only feature I miss from Java is that they can infer the generics in more cases than C# does. Yeah. There's a lot of cases where I think, why can't I do that? You can do it here, but you can't do it there. Yeah, generics are very powerful, but a challenge. So with our infrastructure containing our repository now, we can start to build out our application. So add game. Register new title. So back to that conversation of what is a game, what is a copy? Is a game just a title? Is a game? The reason I'm bringing it up is more the naming of this, right? I'm trying to express the behavior in the application. I'm trying to be clear about what it is I'm doing. My endpoint is the game's endpoint. Right. So map post games goes to, what I'm posting to games is that I'm registering a title. It's that I'm registering a game. What does a game look like? Yeah, again, to me, a game is you know, a name and a platform. So register new title. Again, this doesn't matter. I'm not trying to build this as any form of, at this point, I'm not building it as any form of true game library stuff. I don't intend to continue on with this. Actually, you know what? We're not titles. We are going to change this. I don't know why I did it that way. We are going to change our entities. So a game is a title on a platform. Yeah. That's going to be name. Oh, it's going to be name. And that's going to be called title. Yeah, fine. This is going to be interesting. That's going to be called date registered. And then we're going to run a migration. Add migration. Make game into title. So our migration service that we created is really only useful for hosting the act of doing the migration. The independent pieces could actually be done to run their own migrations. Okay, so register new title. I'm going to use the same pattern, public class, public record command. And this is going to take string name, string platform. It's going to be an I command. I'm going to have to add mediator. It's going to be interesting once Microsoft introduce their mediator. What happens to all this? I believe I just need source generator. I think I went through this the other week. As always, if you are new to the stream, if you have any questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing, if you disagree with what I'm doing, if you haven't seen this sort of stuff before, you're more than welcome to ask questions. You're more than welcome to, it's not a distraction. It is why I stream. I don't know everything. I'm doing what I know and how I know to do it. That doesn't mean it's right. So, yeah. Is that because I don't have the abstractions? Interesting. Okay. Do we want to return a result? No, let's not worry about a result right this second. Interesting. You haven't caught up with it yet. I see AI generated code. The number of developers that are not going to clean up. I assume that comes across on stream. Okay. The number of developers that are not going to clean up this explicit namespace code. I know I'm picky over the white space stuff. Apex, thank you very much for coming and hanging out. Have a great day. I'll see you soon. You got any chance? You any intents to stream anytime soon? I haven't seen any alerts or messages. So if you haven't caught Apex before, by the way, Apex does stream. And he is building a game. He's been building the foundations of the game for a while, but using unit testing, he's using dependency injection, all inside of Godot. And I highly recommend checking out his stream. I break my beauty by feeling the OS drive. Whoops. Hi, Shrutu. How you doing? It's in my mom's favorite stream. Nice. We're on tonight and this weekend for sure. Nice. Well, I'll look forward to it. Dear. So, yeah, this bugs me because my concern over this sort of stuff is it's minor, right? It's the code's not wrong overall. And I realize that we are gaining the ability to kind of flex this and change this a little bit, but it's, you know, it's going to take a while before that's common. And yeah, this code is not what I would like to write. So I'm not gonna accept it. I'm gonna turn it off so it doesn't bother me. For reference, Control Alt Shift and O is what enables and disables Copilot there. So now it'll stay on my way. So we're gonna have public class handler. And this is going to inject an I repository of title. I command handler. I'm not going to go into unit testing in this one. So we'll have to deal with that one. Okay, let's inject that. Reference shared and import I repository, and reference domain and import title. So again, the repositories as far as this thing is concerned is not it is not a class that contains all this behavior. All it is a thin layer on top of DB context, which will give me access to my DB set, but also give me the ability to build specifications on top, which add that behavior that would normally be dumped into one big class file called the title repository. Right. So it gives me that ability. Specifications. And this will be find title by name and platform spec. This is a specification of title and I single result specification of title. You need to specify that the internals of the library need to know the difference between a single and a full spec. So I don't know why exactly, but it does need this decorator. On the constructor here, we now pass in the parameters we're searching for. So I'm going to try something new here. Public record query string name string platform, and then pass in query like that. What do you not like there? Oh yeah, that's a good point. There's a property on the abstract base class called query that would be hiding there. And then here we're going to use that query dot where t goes to t.name equals query.name and t.platform. It's fine. I steal TV's community all the time. It's a sign of affection. Well, I'd like to think we are one community of. No, I'm not going to be. Similar vibes. Time for you to feel the pain. British, chill, devilishly handsome. Oh, thanks. sarcastic. Now here, we're going to try and get the existing. So var existing equals repository dot first to default async, new find title, new parameters. Well, that saved me a lot of time, didn't it? Um, just got sent a job role for a React Native role. They need people to relocate to Cyprus. Voices Velvet. So by doing this, I don't save myself much. You know what? Over engineer that. Basically, because it's nested under another class, I have to specify the full name of the class anyway, which I've already specified. So it will give me nothing to do that. So let's go with that. Name. I don't see gibberish on screen. That's fine. You see, the reason I can't record a video, I have a technical debt YouTube video that I want to build, and I can't do it because I don't like listening to my own voice. It drives me crazy. So, if existing, I gotta await that one. Otherwise, that's going to be a challenge. You should have told of yourself. It's hard. I got back to karate for the first time yesterday. It was fun. I enjoyed hitting bags and kicking things again, and exercising. Yes, exercising. It's funny I can't stand the sound of my voice. Yeah, yeah. It did go well. My knee was only slightly bulbous afterwards. But it's healed today. It's doing good. Um, so just gotta get into that again. They're like, we go light, we go several weeks, just one on one, just take it easy, and go it that way. So supportive. I think what I'm going to do is um, um I'm going to when maybe comes into the stream, I'm going to put a, you know how one line on community day streams puts up, developers at play or whatever, opinions are not their own, etc., whatever it is. I need this, but I basically need to put that up on screen. Yeah, the marquee, when maybe joins a stream, just to make sure that people don't assume that there's any offense intended. Oh, I can listen to my voice all day. I think it's quite telling to my actual personality. I pick up on the parts where I mutter and I don't like them, and then all the parts where I rush through the speaking part, and the words kind of blur together. So I'm more cautious. I'm more, it drives me crazy. Um, so it takes me a long time to. I don't know if you know this. Well, you probably do, but sometimes when my thoughts start flowing, I have to stop and rethink what I'm explaining, because I realize that I'm just streaming. Should I get Android so I can download Benefit to slim down for my wedding later this year? Release it on iOS soon, right? But it is worth it. I would highly recommend Benefit. Please post link, maybe. Uh, Yeah, yeah, my stream rules are a bit different. Sioli, hello, how you doing? Welcome in. What am I doing? Right now, I am building out a command to handle creating a title in this application. Um, so over the last couple of days, I've been building a modular monolith. The intent being just to exercise, can I do this? How do I do this? What challenges do I face? Basically exposing a single API, but having the actual behavior of the API broken up against several modules, um, and having them isolated and independent, but also be able to um, pose an application. Sorry. I'm trying to work on iOS, but I'm also burned out, so not really. Understandable. Yeah. Um, so yeah, buy an Android. It's worth it. It's going well. Yeah. So my normal application on stream, by the way, if you haven't been in here before, is a project called Liquid Sky. That's its project name. It is a project management and planning application that I've been working on for a while. The idea being you can create initiatives, create planning items for those initiatives. Those planning items have requirements that you build out, and the developers can go off and task out those requirements, and track the progress against the tasks rather than the actual stories. Um, so this is the main application I build on stream. Um, and you can go into tasks, there's a dashboard there, and you can see the tasks, and you can go and look, and these are the things that developers do. And then they can go into their sprints and track their work and in the right now Kanban board. But yeah, so that's the main project I work on stream. But the last couple of days, I've been doing a bit of a palette cleanser, building out this application just to kind of stretch the legs a little. So yeah, if you have any questions, thoughts, opinions, please feel free. The stream is open to chat and conversation as much as it is to coding. There is also a Discord linked in the cards below. You're more than welcome to join if you are interested, if you want to continue conversations off stream. Uh, and I'm going to do that. I was just letting you know TV stream is a little more family friendly. I've just been wanting to try one of the fold phones, but iPhone is getting more Android features from 10 years ago soon. We have that to look forward to. Yeah. So right now, um, we've built the spec. So, and this is why I like the specification stuff, right? The actual query is manageable behind just a named uh, class. And my code is now more about the behavior of the result of that query, not the query. So yeah, it's a little easier. So if existing is null, which is my best case, right? Because that's what's going to happen. Then we're going to do await aware await repository dot add new title, and we're going to go name equals command dot name, platform equals command dot platform. Yes, I realize I'm putting a string in there. Doesn't yeah, that's all that's necessary. Await that and return unit.value. So from our endpoint over here, our titles endpoint, we're going to change this up to do some extra pieces. Is it service key? Or does it just work? Let's find out. So we need an iSender. macOS finally gets folder icons. Yeah, that was okay. I thought that was a thing back in the old days. I need to make sure mediator is included. So by virtue of having the application there, so we're going to add the reference to the application, right? How long have you been doing code? Um, I have been a developer professionally for over 25 years. Um, so well over 30 years I've been coding. I wasn't an early start coder. I wasn't one of the ones that like I had a Commodore. I had a VIC-20, sorry, and I tinkered with the code in that book. And then when I typed it all in and it didn't work, I was most disappointed and gave up on it for years. Um, and then I found consoles, and I love consoles and video games. So I'm 45. So thank you for the compliment. Morning trap. Um, yeah. So I found video games, and um, working as a developer, earning some money allows me to have more video games, which is not really clever. So yeah. Um, well, I would like to say good living, but it's not even that. Um, but, but thank you for the compliments. Um, yeah, now I'm thrown. Um, I don't know where to go from there. But yeah, I was in college in the late 90s. Um, gave up on that. Got a job as a programmer. I've been doing that for that. Yes, I have plenty of grey hair. Yes, yeah. Okay. You have too many points. Um, isn't that a thing everywhere though? Even with channels that have uses of the points, these still end up with a lot of points because they accumulate faster than the because it's a very broken system. The channel points, um, like, but what would I put in there? Because again, because I only have the 2 hours a day now, right? Actually, on that topic, I may actually start some evening streams. Um, now I've got a karate schedule set, but I focus my energy primarily on getting software development done, right? So I don't put frills. There's no frills on the stream at all, right? There's no there's no overlays. There's no uh, interactive stuff. If you had a ducky costume redemption, actually had a ducky costume, it all depends on how fun the redeems are. True, but they have a limited amount of entertainment value once you've seen them, and if you're a regular, unless you're a complete troll and it's I don't know. I'm trying to think how I'll put this one. Um, I don't want to be a puppet. I want to code. Um, and yeah. Hey, Shaban, how are you doing? How's things? So I know people get a lot of entertainment value out of the streams, and but I don't know. I've just focused on the code, so I'm open to suggestions on yeah. Um, but I'm in this to do the coding as well, so I got to balance that. Um, but if you have ideas on redeems that would be both entertaining and a good value for the points, then yeah, let me know. Always open to suggestions. If you want to see different things on the stream, if there's other things I can present, if there's other things that I can produce, I will happily do that if it's helpful to the community. Okay, so what I was doing here, add games infrastructure. So that is that's infrastructure, but now we have mediator app.services. Is it app.services that add mediator, right? So that will give us our iSender in our titles endpoint. So now we can go iSender, sender here. Why didn't you include that? And by the way, it's that behavior, that alt enter behavior there, that is why I don't like the idea of putting all these in folders inside of the API. Because if I create a module called games and I create a module called pricing and it's all inside the API, that alt enter is very easy to press. You can end up with a service that is in one area of the application, referencing a piece in another area of the application. It's very easy to do. With those being independent things, that's much harder to do. So I can't reference pricing without an explicit project reference. So that's why I'm trying to organize it this way. I think it is, yeah. Redeem PHP. I've considered redeeming language switch to demonstrate different things, but I haven't figured out how to even factor that in. I don't mind. Again, I don't mind. Rust is one of those as well. Yep. Being that we're almost finished, I'm gonna, yeah. Since renaming is super easy, how about a thin or redeem like the Duke variable? I'm not changing my code. I am way too protective of my code in terms of it being clean and readable. That is not happening. And pretend the variable doesn't exist. Yeah, I'm not ending up with like random variable names in the application because that defeats what I feel is that way. So that one is a no. But I have considered what happens if I build a module of Liquid Sky in a different language. How does that look? Like switch up a stream, build it in Rust, build it in PHP, build things. DB contest is Stony DB contest. Yeah. If it isn't Liquid Sky, yes, maybe. If it's developers.stream, which I do care about, but it is a community project, so I think you've got to balance that out. But yeah, I'm open to ideas. If you want things that are more interactive, but I have genuinely considered writing different modules in different languages, trying to extend that knowledge. And if there's interest in that, I would definitely be open to that. You know, things like Rust, I've picked up a little bit, but not very much. Go. I'm not sure you get much out of PHP. I haven't touched much PHP 8, so that would be kind of an interesting challenge. But maybe that's on brand for the stream, right? I have considered, by the way, here's one thing I have considered. What I have considered is diverting a little bit, and basically, as Liquid Sky starts to become an actual real thing, build a module of Liquid Sky that is stream interactive, and then allow tasks to be added into the backlog, and show post-it notes on the screen. That is on brand, right? For what I'm doing. There are there derailing things that take a few minutes that you like but never do? Not that I know of. yeah, but yeah, I'm open to doing more stuff if there's interest from the community. Um, 2 pull-ups, yeah, take a few minutes. For reference as well, I am also a big guy, so 2 pull-ups might actually take most of the stream. Yeah, yeah. No, I get the derail thing. Again, my concern there is I have so this 2 hours, right? This is this is my programming for the day. This is my actual development for the most part. For when I go into my day job, most of my day job is taken up with meetings, planning, and preparation. It's not actually development. So my only coding time, guaranteed every day, is the 2 hours at the beginning of the day. So I kind of protect it a little bit, and I enjoy it. This is the most fun I have most days. So I got to be careful that I don't. Yeah. So I really genuinely am appreciating the ideas. I'm just explaining um, that I'm not poo pooing the ideas for any other reason. I'm just trying to balance them out. That being said, this is going well overall. Like I said, um, this is going to expose a problem. No worries. Thank you, Stoney. I do appreciate the contribution. I genuinely do. I do want to make the stream what people enjoy coming to. I've also not done any redeems because my focus is just to code on the topic at hand or chat about said projects. Then again, I have 160 followers and viewers, so left in my like it's. I prefer having a group of people that come in and hang out and chat, whether there's 5 viewers, 1 viewer, 20 viewers, 100 viewers, 1,000 viewers, right? If they're coming in and talking about software development, like the chats before about the learning and stuff, uh, you know, I'm always happy talking about that because as more experienced people come in the chat, we all have different experiences. We can all share and grow that, and that's kind of like the entire community, the entire Twitch dev community. Sometimes it's not very mature, sometimes it is, and can give solid advice, right? And get past the whole, you have to do this, you should do this. And I think that's one of the great things that I like. So, you know, just being in streams that are educational when they need to be, entertaining when they can be, and just seeing different perspectives. Yeah. Not cool enough to be a dev. That's okay. Not everyone finds the entertainment the way. Yeah. 2 years of Cisco, 5 minute code challenge using any language choice or CSS battle for the day. I have done coding challenges before. John Cricket, I think, post coding challenges, and I have done some of them before. And normally it's when I have a longer stream available. I don't like trying to do them in 2 hours. And the idea was, maybe we do put them behind a redeem. The idea was, we pick a challenge. I put it up for vote. I pick like 4 that I'm comfortable I could do in a couple of hours. And when I have a day off work or a longer stream day, we put them in there and we start by opening up the challenge, reading it, or digesting it, and going at it to try and show that whole process of how I might approach solving that problem. Definitely, those need longer streams though. 2 hours is not enough with the amount of waffle and chat that goes into them. They need 3 to 4 hours at least. So, but those would be good redeems. They're kind of fun as well because that could be in a different language as well, just for extra challenge. So anyway, it is 9:05. I have aforementioned day job to get to. I appreciate for everyone coming in. I am going to this weekend. I'm going to try and get my new racing rig set up, and I'm actually tempted to put that up as a stream. For those that don't know, I do have, I can't do this. I'm going to do this because One Lion is a fantastic streamer himself. He streams his work stuff on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and then on Fridays has a community day. If you are not aware of One Lion, if you enjoy watching .NET code and development in general, I would highly recommend going over to One Lion stream. Check that out. What I was going to do though is I do have another channel that I do want to resurrect, that I do want to play games on, and I might, if I can figure it out, get my sim stuff set up. No, fantastic. It's correct. Everyone agrees. It's fine. I know how you love absolutes. I do want to resurrect this channel. But maybe this weekend I can actually get something sorted and I can stream me crashing in Gran Turismo a lot. So I do have another stream channel dedicated to games, so I don't blur the lines. I don't get people coming in looking for devs seeing me racing cars. I kind of like the idea of having the separate things. So yeah. But maybe I can get the sim rig sorted out enough to get that streaming this weekend. I also have to be careful because I can't have too many PCs on, otherwise the AC will trip. So there we go. So if you want to see me crash in Gran Turismo with my new toy, I will try and get that up. So the developer one is for games and the gamer one is for development. Yep. TBD. I'm a developer. I'm a gamer. For those, yeah, I do love games. So I have a 3DO, a Saturn, and a GameCube set up over on the other desk as well, linked into the screen. So I really want to play more games. But yeah, anyway, let's go raid Fullbots today. So we're going to raid Fullbots. Fullbots is a game developer if you have not been there before. I assume most of you have. Crash Team Racing's fun. Yeah. I'm interested to see the new Sega one, the Sonic Racing one this year. That looks like it could be fun. Maybe sometime day we can get you to do some 3DO development. that would be fun. Yeah, I don't know how far I get, but that would be fun. Yeah. So maybe we can look at that. But anyway, thank you very much for joining me. We don't want to shout out Fullbots, we want to raid Fullbots because I got to go work. Have a great day. I will see you on Twitch, no doubt. And I will see you again tomorrow for some developers.stream. We're going to talk about getting that deployed, see what I need to do. And yeah, we can get developers.stream up there and see if we can start using it. So thank you all for joining me. Take care. Have a great rest of your day. Bye all. The end. Press the button.